Okay, so last episode we talked about what retention strategy actually is because it's so much more than an email or some funnel you put into place. And I really needed y'all to know that. Now, if you haven't listened to that episode, I'll link it into the show notes because it sets the foundation of everything that we're about to get into today. Because after that episode, the natural next question is, okay, I get it. If I don't have the people, I can't retain them. But where do I even start? What kind of retention strategy is right for my business? Because every business is different. And that's exactly what we're breaking down today. I'm giving you a practical step-by-step framework for figuring out what retention strategy makes sense for you and how to actually roll it out without overwhelming yourself and making your customers feel like you don't know what you're doing. And by the end of this episode, I'm going to introduce you to our method, the exact approach we use with our clients to improve customer retention and experience. So stay with me. Let's get into it. Welcome to More Than a Brand Podcast, the podcast for scaling founders who have hit the 100K mark and realize what got you here won't get you there. My name is Lindsay Tramel-Jones, the People CXO and the CEO of Fierceified Creative and Consulting. This show is dedicated to the art and science of customer retention. It's time to stop chasing the next lead and start stewarding the ones you've already got. You've done the hard part by building the vision. Now let's build the machine. This is More Than a Brand. Let's get into it. Hello, and welcome to this episode of More Than a Brand. And before anything else, I need to do a quick temperature check with you. We talked about this last time, but it definitely needs repeating. If you do not have people consistently coming in your door, you cannot retain what you do not have. Retention is not a quick fix. It is a logical step to once you have your acquisitions figured out. So if you're still in that early grind of I'm trying to build a client base, this framework is something you want to bookmark for later because you're going to get there. But for now, I want you to go and focus on your acquisitions first because you cannot retain what you do not have. Now, if you are a business and it is growing, that means you've generated profits and you are ready to become more profitable. If you hit that point where you're like, I have people, I want to keep them, I want to build something that's more sustainable because this hustling isn't getting it, then this episode is for you. The question is just, where do you begin? The very first thing I'm going to tell you to do when you're trying to figure out exactly where do you begin in becoming more retention focused is to research what you already have. And before you roll your eyes, because I know you're like, I'm sick of these numbers, I need you to understand that these numbers are very important. I'm pretty sure you have a spreadsheet, a dashboard, some sort of analytics tool, something that's telling you some data, real numbers about what your customers are doing. But let me ask you this. What are you actually doing with those numbers? What people usually do is they check them, but they don't really analyze or take note of the story the numbers are actually telling them. Are you looking at them and taking action, or are they just sitting there? And here's what I want you to look for when you dig into your data. What is the life cycle of your client? When do people typically drop off? When are they saying consciously or unconsciously, I'm done, I don't need this service anymore? When are they unsubscribing from your email list? Like at what point in your emails are they like, this is enough of that? When does engagement drop? When does someone who was once consistent buyer suddenly go quiet? And take note of what your numbers are saying. That drop off point is gold. It tells you exactly where your retention strategy needs to show up. If you know people tend to disengage, let's say after 90 days, your job is to build something that kicks in at 60 days that keeps them connected before they're even thinking about leaving. But research isn't just about the numbers. It's also about going and talking to your actual clients. I have a YouTube video when I talk about qualitative versus quantitative data. So going in and talking to your actual clients is very helpful when you pair it with the numbers. I don't want you just talking to any and everybody, not the ones that you don't like, the ones you don't want to come back. But I want you to talk to the clients that have been sticking around. The ones who open your emails and the ones who engage and share your content because they feel like your messaging is resonating in a point where they want to share with their friends. Those are the ones who I want you to talk to, the active and present, not the ones just sitting as another number on your email list to make it seem like you have X number of subscribers, but they're not doing nothing. And when you go and talk to these clients, I want you to ask them directly, what kind of incentive or program would make you want to stay inside our business ecosystem? How can we better support you to either make more purchases or bring more friends along and keep showing up? Receiving that feedback is everything. That takes away the guesswork, and you're not projecting or you're not going off of feelings. You're going off the actual numbers and straight to the source. And letting your most engaged clients tell you exactly what would keep them around. This is research money can't buy, and it costs you nothing but the time to ask. Now that you have your two types of data, you got the client. Real talk, is your business currently a duct tape masterpiece? Like you're hitting your revenue goals, but behind the scenes you are struggling because your customer journey is manual, messy, and dependent on you to function? That's why I created Flow Tribe. This isn't a program. It's a 10-week engineering sprint for founders who've hit that 100K revenue and they're ready to stop being a bottleneck and holding things up. We use my proprietary RISE method to rewire your infrastructure. We alternate between brain weeks to learn the strategy and build weeks to actually deploy the systems. We start with a Flow MRI to find your invisible revenue leaks in 15 minutes. Listen. Stop patching processes and start engineering a flow. Apply for the next Flow Tribe cohort at flowtribe.co. That's flowtribe.co. Let's build your machine. Now back to the episode. Feedback, you got the numbers. This is where you have to get innovative. I want you to take everything that you learn and start generating ideas. And let me take a pause here. Take time with the research. Take your time to get to understand it before you start creating ideas that can innovate your customer experience. So what programs or touch points or experience could you create that would keep your clients inside your ecosystem? Is it a loyalty program? Is it a referral program? Tiered service structure, a VIP community? Brainstorm these ideas that will help your business, but also give your clients what they're looking for. Your retention strategy has to make sense for both of y'all. And I cannot stress this enough. If you build a strategy that feels like a burden on you, that strains your resources, and you hate it every single month, you're not going to do it. You're going to resent it, or you're just going to abandon it. It's going to fall by the wayside. It's just going to make you upset that you wasted your time even putting it together. So as you innovate, ask yourself 2 questions simultaneously. Does my customer actually want this? And can I actually sustain this? And if both answers is yes, that is your sweet spot, and that is where you build. So you start with your research, you come up with ideas to be innovative, and then you decide which idea you want to act on. And from that idea, it's time to strategize how you're going to implement that. When we strategize is when you turn your concept into an actual plan. And that plan should include, what does the rollout look like? Maybe you beta test it with 5 clients, or maybe you do a soft launch to your most engaged segment, or maybe you just go all in, which is fine too, because some people just like to do an all or nothing approach. But depending on your business and your goals, whatever makes sense for you, the key is that you have a plan before you launch it, not after. That's where you get fatigued and you say this doesn't work, because you're trying to build the plane while flying. And as a part of your strategy, you also need to define what are your key performance indicators up front. What is going to tell you that this thing is actually working? For example, if you launched a referral program, are you seeing a bump in referrals? Are people actually sending folks your way now that there's something in it for them? Because here's the thing, I genuinely believe people are good at the core. I wholeheartedly do, and I've always thought that even as a child. But a little incentive ain't never hurt anybody. A little something that says, hey, I see you and here's something for looking out for us, that's absolutely going to move the needle. That is human nature, and there's nothing wrong with designing for it. Whatever strategy you decide, define what success looks like, before you launch, so you know exactly what you're measuring once it's live. Now that you know what you're measuring, finally, you're going to continue to evolve your retention practices. Once you have your performance data, you're going to look for ways to tighten things up, maybe lean a little bit more in one way or pull back in some other way. You want to improve the experience and increase the value. Ask yourself what's working, what's not. Go back and ask those customers to see what's working, those that have participated or those that you have allowed to give access to these retention strategies. Ask them, did it meet their need? And what could be better with just a few adjustments? See, retention strategy is not a one-time project. It is ongoing commitment to your clients that says, we see you, we value you, and we are constantly working to give you a reason to stay because their time and their money is valuable. It's something that they can't get back. And that is what it means to make retention a true priority in your business. Retention isn't a campaign you run once. It is a culture that you build continuously inside your business. Retention has to be embedded and ingrained in your entire experience so that it's continually working for you. Let's bring it all together, because what I just walked you through is the RISE method. And it is the exact same framework we use with our clients to improve their customer retention and experience. If you use FlowLab, you get your results broken down in research, innovate, strategize, and evolve. If you work with us one-on-one, you get that same information. If you're in a Flow Tribe course, you see RISE all the time because we are breaking down how we're going to improve your customer experience inside of these businesses using RISE method. So R is research, audit your data, talk to your people, and find out where the gaps are. I, innovate, take what you've learned and generate ideas that work for your customers and your business. As to strategize, build a real rollout plan, define your success metrics, and execute. And then E is evolve, review the results, tighten things up, and keep getting better. The key to RISE is once you evolve, you're always going to fall back into research. During the evolution part of RISE method, you are improving how you retain your customers and how the experience is with your business, but it's going to require you to do research again, to innovate again, to strategize again, and then continue to evolve. If this resonated with you and you want to go deeper in implementing a RISE method inside your specific business, come find me. You know the link is always in the show notes so we can talk. And if this episode added value, share it with a business owner in your life who is ready to stop starting from zero every single month and start building something that lasts. Until next time, we are more than a brand. We are building something that lasts. I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as I did. Remember, hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date. Find us on social media at fiercified.agency on Instagram, or find us on Facebook at Fiercified Creative and Consultant.